What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along. As you can see, I am joined by the one and only Mr. Mark GOLDBRIDGE of the United Stand. Firstly, buddy, I want to say congratulations. I don't know if I've spoken to you publicly since you got the 1 million, so congratulations on that. And I think we were both surprised at how big that YouTube gold button actually is.
I've got it here, actually. This is not one I made earlier. It is always close by.
Look at that. That's monstrous, mate. Well done. Well played.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on your 100K as well.
Yeah, it's a good start. We're on the way. But I suppose what got us there and what I want to start off talking to you about, my friend, is the old Super League fiasco. It wasn't great, Mark, was it?
No, it was a crazy week, and I think that, I was on my other channel, That's Football, and we had 50,000 watching, which is, you very, very rarely get that on United Stand, let alone a little channel like that. I just caught it right ahead of that Chelsea game against Brighton, and it came out that Chelsea were dropping out. But it was a surreal few days, and I think that, I don't know where Liverpool are with this now. I think everyone's gone off on their own journey. Arsenal seem to have a buyer, but Kroenke won't sell. We want Glazers out, but they won't sell. And Liverpool, I know Liverpool's got a great history like Manchester United, and they don't like being lied to by people that shit on their club. But I don't know. It's not really for me to get involved in Liverpool's issues, but I personally think that Chelsea, Man City, Spurs, Liverpool, well, they lied to you as much as they lied to everyone else.
Yeah, look, we're still furious about it, to be honest with you. I think from our perspective, we're a bit worried about if we were to, again, I can't speak for everybody, but I can give you my opinion. Let's say, for instance, we went and tried to force FSG out. I think we're a bit worried about what may come next. Now, we've obviously had the, I won't say the Glazier type owners, but certainly somebody who leveraged the value of the club to buy it with Hicks and Gillette. So, would be once bitten, twice shy. But I'm with you, Mark. I like to think that apart from what happened in that mad 48 hours, that we can use this to, one, remove some of the toxicity that divides football fans and try and look at the bigger picture on it. And I get where you're coming from. I think we had that mad 48, 72-hour period where everybody was on the same page, and then very, very quickly it looks like everybody scattered and got off in their different directions again. And it's not, I don't think this has gone away, mate. I think this is going to come back again.
Yeah, well, look, we've really been pushing on the United Stand of this petition for 50+1. And I know not everybody understands 50+1 and some people don't agree with it. It's the German model. But for me, the whole point of the petition is to get it raised by government. So there's a proper debate about ownership in the Premier League. I don't really care if it's 50+1 or whatever. But what I passionately want is fans on the board. And I think the governments could put pressure on for this. I want fans on the board so that, look, even if it's privately owned by FSG or the Glazers, that they can't bring in things like Super Leagues without fans being consulted, because that was the outrage last week. It was the fact that we're going to turn our back on European Cups and Premier Leagues to go into a franchise league where nobody can get relegated, where, let's be honest, we would have been seeing Man United against Liverpool in New York or in Delhi or in Sydney. And I've got nothing against that. We've got fans there, but we are an English football club. And look, I lived in Ireland. I know you're over in Ireland. Massive Manchester United and Liverpool support there. But Manchester is in Manchester and Liverpool's in Liverpool. Everybody can support those clubs. I'm not from Manchester, but I don't want to see Manchester United playing franchised Super League games in bloody Canada. I don't want that. I think the identity of these clubs and the reason people love Liverpool and Manchester United is because they have an identity. So, look, that needs to be protected against. And I agree with you. I think that the only reason Man United are not in the Super League now is because Chelsea and Man City dropped out. I don't know whether that's the same as Liverpool. My understanding is that the American owners, Kroenke, Henry and Glazers, were massively behind this with Real Madrid and Juventus. And the only reason this isn't happening is not because our club's got a pang of guilt. I've seen the video of Henry. I've seen the United statement. This is because Chelsea and Man City just thought, this ain't worth it to us. We're already rich anyway.
Yeah, you look at the motivation behind that, and as you said, you look at Chelsea, Roman Abramovich. It's not about money for him. It's not about money for.
It was fear of missing out.
Sir. Yeah, exactly. And I think you are right. And I've had a bit of flack from people of the other side of the Atlantic, feeling like we as fans are singling out the American owners a lot but it is a cultural difference. It really is. If you look at the way the MLS is going with Liga MX and the way they're looking to consolidate those two leagues and maybe make a Champions League version over that side of the Atlantic, and you look at, all of our owners have other interests in American sport as well, and they are used to, how do I put this? if they kick up a fuss, usually get in their way because they can threaten to move a club out of the city. They can look for tax breaks to set up, whether it be the NFL, the MLS, the MLB, whatever it might be. I think this could have been imminently avoided, and any conversation with a fan group, Solskjaer, Klopp, anybody who's any history of European sport will let them know very quickly that this wasn't going to wash, because you've got to, as the T-shirt said, you've got to earn that place and earn the right to be there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're spot on, because I think that what you've got here is, look, we've got loads of Manchester United fans that are American, and I'm sure Liverpool, I know Liverpool does as well. I didn't like the burning of the flag at the protest at Old Trafford at the weekend. This is nothing to do with American culture or American fans. This is to do with 3 greedy owners who happen to be American. And the reason, I think there is a link between them being American, because obviously they've got the same, sort of background around sport. And to them, our owner even said, it's taken me this long to understand offside. Well, yeah, they don't understand the relegation system, because they're used to playoffs. They're used to drafts. They're used to franchises. But the reality is the MLS has never taken off because the system's crap. Like it is a crap system that they have over there with no relegation. And we don't want this. Like, if you want to create Manchester United franchise, piss off and do it, but keep Man United here. But no, I mean, I think this has come in, and Real Madrid really want it to happen. And these sort of people, they don't just get defeated and go, that's fine. They're definitely the sort of people that are going to come again.
So yeah, well, I look at Real Madrid, I look at Barcelona, and I look at the Italian clubs. And again, I go back to, I can see the motivation for them. They're up shit creek financially. They're all in a hole. And for me, this was a chance for the English clubs to really ram the boot home and say, you know what, we're going to take the best players from Europe continuously. We're going to take the best managers. And this Anfield Agenda show has been brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. When you're a follically challenged man like myself on the top of the head, you want to make sure that you take care of yourself below. If you haven't tried their Lawnmower 3.0 electric trimmer, you've been missing out. Their 3rd generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to keep your nuts as smooth as my head. The battery alone lasts up to 90 minutes, unlike most of us. The kit also includes crop preserver, otherwise known as their ball deodorant. Yes, folks, I did say ball deodorant. It also comes with crop reviver, Manscaped's own ball toner. Sick of saggy balls? Use their ball toner and those days will be gone. They even added their shed travel bag and anti-chafing boxer briefs to complement not only their Perfect Package 3.0, but your perfect package as well. Let's get that bush to tush clean so you can be prepared at all times. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code WFM20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use our code WFM20. You too can be massive, and your balls will thank you later. I've been looking into the new Champions League that has been announced, and I don't like the idea of, we see a lot of similarities here, Mark. The top 8, again, that qualify at the end of this league table with some Swiss model, which sounds overly complicated to me, qualify for the next season's Champions League. So my question to you, mate, would be, where's the motivation for clubs to do well in the domestic league? If you finish top 8, you're going to get back into the money competition next season, then surely you start resting players.
It's all about money anyway. They're bringing in another sort of cup winners' cup, aren't they? There's a Europa League, a Champions League, and something else now. I mean, look, unfortunately, United spend quite a bit of time in the Europa League. It's shit. It's absolutely shit. I mean, I watch it, but we're in it against Roma. That's a semi-final. And, I mean, look, I watch it. I'm interested in it. But I tell you what, if it was Arsenal against Roma and my team was in the Champions League, I ain't watching Thursday night football. It's all about money. I think the Champions League system works. I think if it's not working, then it needs tweaking. It doesn't need reform for me. The European Cup is a massive tournament, and it's been like that for decades. I don't think we need to reform it in a way that doesn't promote competition, like you say. And I heard something the other day that United could finish 6th and West Ham could finish 5th, and Man United go into it and West Ham don't. I mean, that's just not right. The whole point of sport is that upsets can happen, and it's an equal playing field. Exactly.
We wouldn't have had the beautiful story of Leicester City. We wouldn't have had the story about maybe West Ham this season if they can get into that top 4, and they will have earned the right to be there. There's a couple of other things I want to have a chat with you about before we look ahead to the game, mate, at the weekend, which, I don't know if you're going to put much. Obviously, there's the rivalry, and we know that. But you guys have 2 semi-finals legs to
big game for you, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big game for us. And look, I'll be honest with you, mate. I think it's very, very, very unrealistic for us to get top 4 at this point. But
it's amazing, really. It's amazing.
It's madness. If you think, Mark, that we were top of the league in December, and I was, very braggadocious about it, thinking we're going to carry on. And then through January, we just fell off a cliff. It's inexplicable, and I can't explain it. I mean, we could say injuries, you could say crowds, but at the end of the day, we just fell off a cliff and all our confidence went. And I don't think we'll get top 4 this season. I don't think we deserve top 4 this season. But looking ahead to the game of the weekend, for you, do you think Solskjaer is going to take this deadly seriously, or do you think he's going to have one eye on trying to get through that second leg against Roma and book his place in the Europa League final?
I think we've got a squad big enough to take it seriously. Whether he'll approach it in a way to go and win it is another thing. I think maybe he'll look at a draw again. I mean, when we played you at Anfield in January, that draw seemed. I mean, a lot of United fans weren't happy with it because we played quite defensive and felt that we could have got something out of it. But then you come away from it, you go, Liverpool point at Anfield, really good. And then Brighton and Burnley and Everton and everyone else go and win there. And you realise, actually, we should have gone for you then. I think the way that Solskjaer plays, he probably will quite play with people like McTominay and Fred and, sort of like quite defensive. You'll have to win. It's the perfect game for Solskjaer. Keep it tight and hit you on the break with pace. I think that's what we'll do. I don't know which way it will go, really. I'm very, very surprised at what has happened with Liverpool, as you say. I do absolutely sympathise with the fact that Liverpool would not lose their home record if they had however many thousand fans in the ground. You wouldn't be losing to Brighton and Burnley. This was my big worry about Man City winning a treble. I mean, I'm so grateful to Chelsea because I thought they were going to win it and I would have said you shouldn't be breaking records in a season like this. It's great that we've had football, but breaking records is ridiculous when there's no fans in the ground. I still think Liverpool could get top 4, but I think Chelsea got a tough run in. Leicester got a bit of a tough run in. I mean, obviously you're not going to catch us because the gap's too big, but if you don't make it, like you say, it is only of your own making, really. I can't believe the quality of players that you've got, and you draw into Newcastle and dropping points, to Leeds as well in midweek. I know we did, but I just, you're out of the Champions League by then. The hunger, I think they're just a very tired team, and I think they need a break.
Yeah, I'm wondering what way the summer transfer window is going to go. There's been some murmurings about Mohamed Salah. I mean, from our side, I'm sure you're probably a little bit aware of this, but he's 2 years left. And you know yourself, and you've got a player who's one of the most senior players at your club, 2 years left on his contract. That's time to start sitting down and renewing a deal, and you don't want him running down his contract. But I wanted to get a quick take from you about the transfer window from your side as well. Are you expecting some cleverness this summer? A lot of teams maybe hitting release clauses or expecting some player plus cash deals?
I mean, look, it's been mentioned for like over a year now that swap deals will be the way forward. And I think it makes a lot of sense for it to be the way forward. But I don't see where people get their money from. I know Man City and Chelsea will have money because obviously they've got rich owners, but I don't really see where United are getting money from, where Liverpool and Arsenal are getting money from, Barcelona and Real Madrid are getting money from. We were linked to Haaland, and I obviously, my interpretation of that is, how were we getting Haaland? And then this Super League comes out and you hear that you're getting 350 million just for entering it. You think, oh, that's why we're linked to Haaland then. That's why Riola's going around talking to all the clubs. So, I mean, a lot. I just don't see where clubs are going to get. I don't know who's going to get the money to buy Salah if it's not Chelsea, Man City, or PSG. I don't know where Real Madrid, Barcelona get that sort of money. So, I think it's an interesting transfer window. From our point of view, we've got Pogba with 1 year left on the contract. I mean, look, if you pull Pogba, you just run your contract down. You run it down. You don't go anywhere. So, I'm not expecting much from United. But then again, and it might be the same for you, these owners have absolutely betrayed the fan base. And what's the easiest way to get the fans back on side? It's to go and spend a bit of money. So that could happen. I think it's an interesting transfer window because the expectation would be, we've had COVID, we've not got fans in the ground, we're not buying players. But then you think, well, they've just done what they've done with the Super League. They need to get the fans back on side. Maybe they go and spend a bit.
I spoke to Graham Hunter during the week about this. As you know, Graham very well versed in Spanish football, and he said to me that Florentino Perez's whole perspective here was that money that you spoke about, that 350 million, that was his Sancho and Mbappe money, and that was what he was planning to do. Obviously, they're redoing the Bernabeu as well as we speak. And, you know, he seems to be clinging on to that idea, doesn't he? And one thing I took about the Super League very interestingly was the fact that Barcelona and Real Madrid are apparently getting €60 million more per season than every other team in it, which I don't understand why you'd sign up to that.
No, I mean, the whole thing that disappointed me about the Super League was that the English teams, the 6 English teams, were the most important aspect. Taking nothing away from Juventus and Real Madrid and Barcelona, who are big clubs. The rest of them, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Atletico Madrid, so bloody what? Bayern Munich and PSG weren't even in it. Look, I think the La Liga is paying the price because it didn't structure La Liga the same way we structure the Premier League. We have parachute payments for people who get relegated for a couple of years. The money is distributed fairly. And, you know, it's distributed on where you finish in the league, which is the way it should be. Whereas in the La Liga, I think the TV deals are proportionately gifted to Real Madrid and Barcelona because they're the biggest clubs and they're the clubs that everyone wants to watch. But then that leads to a league that's not that competitive. I think the Premier League is the best league in the world. And it disappointed me that 6 clubs wanted to leave that to go and make Real Madrid and Barcelona rich. When the reason they want to come out is because their league's screwed. So I think the power is with the English clubs, and that's why it collapsed. But Perez wants it and still wants it publicly. I
can only speak for me here, but I'd be interested to see how you felt. For that 24-hour period where, from the point where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was interviewed after United's game to the news breaking that night at 11:30 and then the next day, I was genuinely in fear that our clubs were gone, mate, like that the Premier League were going to boot us out, and that I wouldn't, and I know I watched your streams very closely, I don't think you would have either. When I say recognised, I mean, I couldn't have, with good conscience, supported Liverpool in that Super League. It's not the same club for me, and I'm sure you probably feel similar.
Look, I know you've got Connor, and obviously I've got Drawty, and we. I mean, I said it publicly anyway, and I feel I would have had to stand by it because I did have conversations with family members and people who work with me on the United stand, and I was like, serious. Look, maybe there's something around that's football that we do if there's a Super League, but I will not do United stand with Manchester United in a Super League because then it really would just be about money and stuff like that. Because the reason I do the United stand, the reason I talk about transfers every day, the reason I do passionate match reactions is because I'm engaged and I'm passionate. I can't do the amount of content I do on the United stand if I'm not engaged. I can't fake it. And the Super League would have been the biggest fake ever. And more importantly, probably the same for you and Liverpool fans, they would be asking me to turn my back on the European Cup, on the Busby Babes 1958 tragedy, on 68, the resurrection and revival, on 99, which I was fortunate enough to witness in a packed out house in Dublin. You know, in 2008, where I was throwing my beer out the window because I thought Terry the twat's going to win it and he slipped and missed. The European Cup is massive for Liverpool. It's massive for Manchester United. And to turn my back on that for some Super League concocted by billionaires who know nothing about football, I couldn't have lived with myself doing that. So, look, I would have been out. And people think, oh, no, you'd never walk out on a 1 million subscriber channel. I would have been out because I can't fake it. And I think a lot of fans felt the same. That would have been it. That would have been it. And the sad thing is, because we got labelled as legacy fans, the owners wouldn't have cared because they weren't looking for me and the legacy fans. They were looking for, let's take the game to New York. Let's take the game to Delhi. And it would have worked. People would have packed the stadium out. But those fans who, you know, like me, who are not better fans, but just have a connection in a different way, we would have been left on the side. And that was a disgrace.
See, I very much believe you would have walked away because I understand exactly what drives you. It similarly drives me. You have this emotional attachment to the history of the club, the idealisms of the club, from our point of view, the socialist background, the fact that I think Manchester United were starting by railway workers. And I thought Gary Neville was magnificent, I have to say. Don't give him much credit for a lot of things. Yeah, they both stood up. Now, obviously, Sky and stuff do have a vested interest. It's important we look at that as well. But it was great to see them. And what really, really angered me, mate, is you spoke about how important the European Cup is to both our clubs. For them to think that they could pick up their 13 Champions Leagues or us with our 6 Champions Leagues or yourselves and bring them over to this bastardized Champions League, Super League version, mate, it was extremely disappointing and hollow to see that.
Well, look, we beat Benfica. They weren't going to be in it. we beat Bayern Munich. They weren't going to be in it. All right, we beat Chelsea. They were going to be in it. Same for Liverpool. I mean, Roma, Mönchengladbach. I can't think of AC Milan.
Celtic, Aberdeen.
Yeah, it's no. And when Perez said a lot of things. He was really getting my blood pressure up, to be honest, when his interviews were coming out. 16 to 24-year-olds don't watch football anymore. I was like, what planet is this guy on? And we'll take all our Champions Leagues and the Europa League over there. European League. No, you won't, mate. You won't, mate. You are absolutely selling your soul and selling football soul to make a bit of money. And but I don't think it's over. And I think this is why these petitions and protests and everything people are trying to do is really important, because if you do nothing, you've been warned. It's like having a yellow card. When you get your red card, don't come moaning, because now is the time to sort it out.
And I agree, and we have to keep working together as fan bases, and we have to keep highlighting these issues. And I just wanted to get a really quick take before I let you go, buddy, on the idea of this possible Celtic Rangers and this UK league. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's been banded around for most of my life, really. I remember being like a school kid and this was being mentioned. And I always, as a younger lad, and it's one of those good things because it's been going around for so long and it's never ever happened. You can relate to the younger audience and the age that I'm at now. And as a younger person, I was like, oh, this would be really interesting. But Celtic and Rangers were quite good then. I've got to say, the older I am, I'm more against it now, because I think that if Celtic and Rangers come into the Premier League, it's the English league. And I know we've got Cardiff and Swansea, so it could happen. But what happens to Aberdeen and Dundee and everyone like that? And what happens to maybe, a Brighton and a Burnley? It's like, it's almost a little bit Super League-esque. And I'm not totally opposed to the idea, but I do think it's a nonsense, really. And I think Scottish football, again, it's very similar to La Liga and what Barcelona and Real Madrid are trying to do. Because Rangers and Celtic are not the powers that they have been of the past, and money is such a big issue, they want to come into a league where they can. And look, Celtic and Rangers, if they come in the Premier League, very quickly, I think they'd become big clubs because they've got huge fan bases. And the money would roll in, and they would probably be, I think they'd be a club that would be, certainly ahead of a team like a Spurs and an Arsenal quite quickly. So I can see the benefits, and I think the Premier League would be stronger with them in it. But I do, you've got to be fair. I mean, we can't moan about fairness last week and then say, oh, yeah, let's get Celtic and Rangers in. And, there are teams in England that would suffer because of that. And there's certainly the Scottish League would suffer massively without Rangers and Celtic in it. Yeah,
really quickly, all I could think about was maybe some type of Scottish, Irish, Welsh league where the rest of the clubs go into some UK, Irish-based Celtic league or something like that. But I think you're right. Really quickly, buddy, last thing. Prediction for the game. What score are you going with?
I think I'm pretty nailed on. It'll be a draw, unless Liverpool really do turn up, which they haven't really done, have they? So, I mean, look, you've always got to think about penalties, red cards in a game like this. But I think it has got a draw written all over it. Which for United, it's probably our last hard game of the season in the league. So I think we'd take that. But for Liverpool, you need to win it. So I hope it's a good game. I mean, look, there's a massive protest going to take place before that, which is good from a Man United point of view because it's going to hit the papers big time. It's going to hit the TV very, very big as well. I wonder if that'll have an impact on the way United play. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to go with a draw, 1-1.
I'm going to hold off till I do my full preview for our viewers. But look, Mark, it's been a pleasure, mate. And that petition, the link will be in the description of the stream. And look, I hope we catch up really soon. I know you're a busy guy, so I'm going to let you go. But cheers for coming on for a little chat, mate. And again, congrats on the 1 mil.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.